Imagine this: three different generations, three different social contexts, three seemingly wise pieces of financial advice. And yet the final result is the same. Strangely enough, they all fall into the same carefully crafted trap. Your grandparents were told that the safest way was to deposit money into the bank. For them, it wasn't just a financial choice, it was considered almost a moral duty. Set aside part of your paycheck, put it into a savings account, and trust that by retirement, that money would become a shield to protect their life. Your parents were guided by another slogan: buy a house, real estate never loses value. They believed that owning a home was not only a way to settle down, but also a guaranteed investment. And you, in today's generation, grew up with the rallying cry, don't let money sleep, invest. The market always goes up, seize the opportunity. It sounds appealing and persuasive, but the essence of all three pieces of advice is the same. It's packaged, painted to look like a philosophy of life, when in reality, it's just a mask for the same inward-looking cycle. A cycle that keeps the majority at a disadvantage. This isn't just your story, it's a script repeated through generations. And unless you wake up, you'll keep rewriting the same play your grandparents and parents once acted in. The biggest question for you is, are you ready to break free from this carefully designed financial trap? If you want to keep exploring deeper financial insights and learn how to escape this trap, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any content. And if you find this meaningful, comment 1 or 0 if you have a different opinion. Your feedback matters because it helps us understand you better and create videos that truly match your needs. Now let's go back to the 1950s, 1970s, when our grandparents believed saving money in the bank was the sure path to safety. Was it really a smart choice? You see, they weren't foolish nor reckless. On the contrary, they did exactly what society, governments, and banks were constantly encouraging. Picture it. Newspapers, television ads, and even family conversations repeated the same message over and over. Save, be frugal, it's wise and moral. And your grandparents believed it. They worked hard, cut small expenses, and carefully stored their hard-earned money in savings books they trusted as the treasure of their future. But then what happened? Inflation rose like an invisible storm. In the UK, within a decade, the pound lost nearly half its purchasing power. In Italy, the lira became a symbol of devaluation, shrinking year by year. Across Europe and the US, ordinary families who thought they were doing the right thing watched helplessly as their savings turned into empty numbers. Notice, your grandparents weren't wrong in discipline. They did what they were told was right. They followed the rules. But the system was designed to make safety an illusion. Money in the bank isn't wealth. It's like ice melting in the sun, looking solid but shrinking every day. The lesson here is not to blame them, but to ensure you don't repeat their mistake. Because if today you still cling to the mindset of keeping money safe, you may be walking the same path they did. A path that seemed secure, but led only to loss. After your grandparents watched inflation erode their sweat and savings, your parents were given a new financial truth. They were told the surest way to build a future was to own a house. The slogan, real estate always goes up, echoed everywhere. It was inexpert advice on billboards and even at the family dinner table. Your parents believed buying a home wasn't just shelter, it was an investment, a ticket to financial security. But think carefully. Is the home you live in truly an asset? A true asset generates income and creates cash flow. Yet a home consumes resources relentlessly. Monthly mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance, repairs, upgrades. It's like a reverse asset, draining instead of yielding. Then came 2008. The global housing bubble burst. In the USA, Spain, and Ireland, millions of families found themselves underwater, owing more on their mortgages than their homes were worth. Bustling neighborhoods turned into ghost towns. Abandoned houses stood locked, leaving bitter memories for an entire generation. Your parents weren't reckless either. They just followed what society said was wise. But what was the result? The dream home became an invisible shackle, binding them to debt and worry. The lesson for you is crystal clear. Don't blindly assume what's preached as safe truly is. Be sharp enough to see what creates value and what's just a burden disguised as a dream. And now comes your generation. If your grandparents trusted banks, your parents trusted homes, you were raised with a different promise. Don't let money sleep. Invest. Make your money work for you. It sounds logical, modern, and irresistible, right? Social media is full of overnight success stories. Headlines celebrate people who became millionaires through stocks or crypto. Financial experts repeat the mantra that markets are the only road to freedom. And you, like millions of young people, start believing wealth is guaranteed once you enter the market. But ask yourself, does everyone win? The truth, only a few get out in time while the majority relive the same tragedy your grandparents and parents did. When meme stocks exploded, countless people dreamed of fortune, only to see their accounts vanish within months. When crypto peaked, many believed it was the future of money, but the crash of 2022 wiped out trillions of dollars, leaving portfolios empty and dreams shattered. The painful reality is that while the game changes its costume, the rules never do. It's still a system designed so that many lose while the few win. You weren't reckless, you simply followed what was preached as wisdom. But history keeps repeating itself, just with fancier packaging. And remember, it's not because you're not smart. It's because you sat down at a table where the house already knows the outcome. The lesson for you is this: don't blindly believe that just investing is enough. Investing without understanding the rules, without protecting yourself, is no different from sitting at a table where the game is rigged. So what exactly must you do to change this? First, you must see clearly how these three financial traps operate. Quietly, brutally, nearly inescapable for every generation. The first is inflation. It's the invisible thief, draining your money day by day without you noticing. You work hard, you get paid, you put it in the bank, and a year later, with the same money, you can buy less. The cruelest part is that no one seems to be taking your money, yet your purchasing power disappears, and you're helpless. The second is bubbles. They don't start as scams. They begin with excitement, trust, and success stories that make everyone believe they'll be next. Real estate, stocks, tech, crypto, all follow the same script. Inflate expectations, draw in millions, then collapse, leaving most in loss while a small group walks away with profit. And finally, there is debt, the strongest invisible chain of all. It ties your life to banks, to mortgages, to student loans, to consumer credit. At first, debt is sold as a doorway to a better life. But the further you walk in, the more you realize it's a long hallway where every month you must pay a slice of your life just to keep the door from slamming shut. Together, these three traps form a colossal machine. It's designed to make sure wealth never stays in the hands of the majority, but always flows upward, to those who know the rules and write the rules. And here's the truth you must accept. If you don't learn to recognize and avoid these traps, no matter how hard you work, you'll always stay weak in the financial game. This is harsh, but it's also the first step to waking up and finding the right path. And when we look back at history, we see what's happening today is just a repeat, dressed in a shinier costume. Go back to ancient Rome. Back then, denarius coins made of silver held solid value, but emperors began diluting them, reducing silver content to mint more coins. The result? Currency lost value. People still traded as if it were real money, but their purchasing power shrank. Meanwhile, the elite with land, farms, and resources stayed strong. Ordinary people trusted money, but the wealthy trusted productive assets. Fast forward to Weimar Germany in the 1920s. People spent lifetime saving, putting money in banks, and then hyperinflation turned their savings into worthless paper within a few years. It was said that a loaf of bread could double in price in a single day. Those who held gold, land, or businesses producing essentials stayed afloat. And you remember the 2008 financial crisis. In Greece, millions of retirees saw their pensions slashed overnight. What they believed was absolute safety, their pension funds collapsed. Meanwhile, international creditors still got repaid, and those who held real assets continued their dominance. Do you see the pattern? It's always the same. Ordinary people follow the rules the system lays out, while the elite protect themselves with durable assets. And the lesson for you is clear. The system never changes its nature, it only changes its disguise to lure each new generation into the same loop. If you don't see this, you'll repeat the same mistakes every generation before you did. So the question is, who are the real winners? My friend, when we look at the pages of financial history, there is a truth that few are willing to accept. Those who chase glamorous dreams often return empty-handed, while those who hold real value in their hands become the winners. Take the California gold rush as an example. Thousands rushed to the mines, full of hope and ambition. They worked day and night, trading sweat and strength for a chance at a new life. Yet most of them came back with nothing. But Levi Strauss, he didn't dig for gold, he sold durable jeans to those miners. As a result, he built an empire that still exists today. You see the difference? The difference is not in chasing the opportunity, but in providing real value to those who are busy chasing it. And when the real estate bubble burst, the story repeated itself. Families drowning in debt, clinging to the dream that a house is an asset, fell into debt, lost their homes, and lost their capital. But those who had cash, patient enough to wait, bought assets for pennies on the dollar, and became the new owners of huge opportunities. In every craze, in every bubble, the true winners are never those who run with the crowd, but those who observe, understand the rules, and provide what is most sustainable. You must remember this. The rich do not play the crowd's game. They create the game for the crowd to join. They don't rush to dig for gold. They sell shovels, jeans, tools, and build businesses that stand strong despite the market's ups and downs. The lesson for you is clear. If you keep running where everyone else is rushing, chances are you'll share their fate. But if you learn to think differently, to seek true value, you can step out of the cycle of failure and join the ranks of the real winners. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and truly reflect. For years, you've been taught to treat your home, your savings book, or your pension fund as safe assets. But now you clearly see those are only shells. A house you live in doesn't generate cash flow. It drains it. A savings account doesn't preserve value if inflation silently erodes your purchasing power every year. And a pension fund tied to speculative products, seemingly stable, can collapse anytime the system shakes. The truth is, real wealth doesn't lie in those promises, but in things with lasting value and the ability to generate income even during crises. Think about the skills you develop. Those are the only assets no one can steal, immune to inflation, and the more you refine them, the more valuable they become. Think about essential businesses, those that provide electricity, water, food, transportation. In any circumstance, people still need them to live. And think about productive, cash-flowing assets, rental land, operating machines, or any resources that continue to yield income, whether the market rises or falls. This is the solid foundation of long-term prosperity. I want you to understand that true wealth is not how many flashy things you can show off, but how many things keep creating value even while you sleep. If you want freedom, build assets on durable foundations, not fragile promises. And I emphasize, from this moment, you must redefine what an asset really is. Don't let the next generation repeat the mistakes of your grandparents and parents. Be the one who breaks the cycle and builds prosperity on what lasts through time. My friend, at this point, I want you to face a truth few dare to admit. For generations, we've all been playing by rules already written. Your grandparents were told to save money in the bank, your parents were told to buy a house, and you were told to invest at all costs. 3 different paths, but the same result: loss. Because this game was never designed for you to win. It was written to serve a small group of people who understand the rules and set traps for the majority to step into. But here is the moment of liberation. You are not required to walk that same path. You have the right to choose, and you can refuse to be a victim of a system built to drain value from you. The good news is, you can write your own script. Instead of chasing promises of safety or sure wins, focus on building true value. The skills you master, the businesses you build, and the productive assets that deliver steady cash flow. That is the foundation that will keep you standing in any storm. More importantly, you must understand that freedom does not come from doing what the crowd is doing, but from daring to go the opposite way, daring to question, daring to redefine what it means to be wealthy and safe. I want you to etch this into your mind. Only when you choose to exit the old game, build real assets, and write new rules for yourself, will you be able to hold lasting wealth and true freedom. This is not just a warning, it is a call to action. And right now, you must answer. Will you continue walking the old path of past generations, or will you rise and write a new rulebook for yourself? Personally, I believe this message is not just a history lesson, but an alarm bell. We are often swept up by easy promises. Savings are safe. Buying a house guarantees wealth. Investing is the only way. But history proves these truths repeat like traps. In reality, only those alert enough to see through the illusion and focus on sustainable value retain wealth over time. I believe the difference between the rich and the poor is not the opportunities they have, but how they redefine assets and choose their position in the financial game. Our sharing ends here. Everything expressed is purely personal. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or want to share your thoughts and feelings about the video, don't hesitate to comment below. I'd love to hear from you so we can discuss and improve together. And don't forget to like and subscribe to help spread these useful insights.